Hello, class. It feels like it's an eternity since we met last on the 5th of March. It's craziness. So we're going to be doing everything online going forward. I'm not sure what our labs are going to look like, so I'll keep you posted as I know. But I'm going to try to do as much of the lab content in our lessons as I can to keep you sharp as to what you're not supposed to know. So today is going to be my first time of trying to merge my screencasting versus videoing something from my phone and linking it to. So we'll see how this plays out. So at the end of the last class, I pretty much went over everything with wiring diagrams except for really getting you a good connector view understanding of what's going on. So here I'm home and I am going to try to enhance that. Then you're going to get some other lessons on wire repair. Okay, so since I have a 1999 Silverado, that is the vehicle that we're going to use to try to pull all this stuff together, right? And the whole point of this is that you can track a problem from a diagram to a vehicle to what you should expect and be able to get the readings that you should be able to get from there. Okay, so this is the vehicle. Mine looks just like this, not as shiny as this, but pretty close. And we're going to take this to the throttle positioning sensor because that's easy to get to and I should be able to film that. So if we look, we can see a diagram here of the throttle positioning sensor. Right? So this is our PCM. Once again, a dashed line. So it is only a part of the component. Over here we have the map sensor. Down here we have the throttle positioning sensor. Now it's a potentiometer. So note that it's a 3-wire sensor. And here's our 3 wires. We have a dark blue, 0.8 millimeters squared, circuit 417, leaving the computer connector C2 on pin 24, and going into the sensor. Now notice it's this wiper in the sensor. Now on the other end, we have our throttle positioning sensor 5-volt reference, leaving on also connector C2 pin 46, circuit 416, 0.8 millimeters squared. It's a gray wire going into terminal A of the throttle positioning sensor, one side of that resistor in the potentiometer. Notice this other one here was terminal C. Now down here is our ground. Okay, the computer's supplying that as well. It's leaving on pin 54. It's coming down on circuit 452, 0.8 millimeters squared, black wire going into pin B. So you got 5 volts on this side. You have ground on this side. You have a wiper that's intersecting it. Whatever the voltage is on that particular portion of that resistor is fed back into the computer. And then the computer gets a signal from there. Okay? So our things that we want to remember is we want to remember C2, pin 24, 46, and 54. Right? 24 is the signal. 46 is the 5 volts. 54 is the ground. Right? So now let's take it and let's look at 2 things. Let's look at the connector for the throttle positioning sensor, and then we'll look at the connector for the PCM. So if we look at our sensor here, that's our plug. That's the harness side plugging into the throttle positioning sensor. There's your locking tab on the top. So it shows us that here's A, B, and C. A, B, and C. A was gray, 5-volt reference, 416. B was black, circuit 452. That's the ground. And dark blue was C, 417 for the signal. If we look back, 417, 452, 416. Okay? So not only that, but we have the part number for that connector if we needed a new one. And we can see it's a 3-way MetroPack Series 150 series pull connector. That's the design of that connector. And it's black. Okay? So you'll find that for every connector that they supply information for. Now let's take it and let's bring it back to the computer itself. Well, location. Here's our throttle body. Number 7 is the throttle positioning sensor. It's right here, so it should be pretty easy for us to look at this on video. Here is connector 2, right? When we looked at this, we saw connector 2. So this is connector 2, right? Connector 2 assembly. We can see that it is a red connector. It even has a part number for the connector and for the cover that snaps onto this thing. Now, if we look down, we got the pins represented here. Now, we're looking for pin 24. So pin 24 is right here, dark blue, 417 throttle positioning signal. We go back here, dark blue, pin 24, throttle positioning signal. Now, the other ones are 46 and 54, which means we need the second version of this. Okay, if we go back to the original diagram, we just looked at connector C2, but notice that these other ones, notice the dashed line is part of connector C1, right? And notice that we are 46 to 54, right? So we need the same thing with the other one. We're going to have so many on the first picture, and then we're going to have a second one. So here is the second one. Right, and here on the second one, we can see it's connector C1. Here's our part numbers. It's a blue connector now, where the other one was red. There's a cover that's on the back side of it, and that's the part number for that. And if we go down to 46, there's our gray 416 TP sensor, 5 volts. Right, if we go back to this one, gray 416, 5 volt reference. The other one was 54. We go down to 54. There is a black wire 452 TP sensor ground. 54 TP sensor ground. Okay, so now between this one, the original diagram, and this one, you've got the whole circuit, complete front to back, every aspect of it. This is showing the bolt that holds it in. These are the locating tabs. You can see your pin number arrangement, 1 through 20, 21 through 40, 41 through 60, 61 through 80. If you ever have a connector like this and you're trying to figure it out, go with an end. Go with like 41, which is not here on this one, but you got 80. Well, 80 is an orange with a black. So now find that wire, and that'll help you orient that connector. Okay, and I hope that helps fill in where we left off last time. Hello, class. Okay, here's my trying to make stuff work at home. So in the video you just saw, you saw a 99 Silverado, and here's a 99 Silverado. And we were doing the throttle positioning sensor. And here's the location of the throttle positioning sensor right here. Here's the plug that went into it. If we look at the plug, we see a very similar pattern to what we saw before. We see that we have 3 wires. We have a gray wire that's real dirty looking. We have a blue wire that's right there. And we have a black wire right back there. The gray wire is our 5 volt reference according to that diagram. The blue wires are signal, and the black wire is ground. So if we check, the key is on in the truck. I'm going to try to do this so I can video while I do it. The gray wire is this one, and we see 5 volts. The black wire is this one, and we see 0. And our signal, which is our blue one, there's nothing really going on it right now because we're not plugged in. we have to intercept that resistor in order to see it. In the lab, you would hook up a J-kit like this. This is my J-kits I have at home, but we would go between that terminal and the terminal in the sensor down there, and we connect them, orienting everything correctly. Notice the lock point. We know that this is the reference of how it fits in. And we would build up those points, and then we'd be able to test the voltage, right? So we have the J-kits at school. You would find the males that would go in this side, the females down there. You'd rebuild those 3 circuits, and you'd be able to take your readings accordingly. If we get the opportunity to do the labs again, you'll be doing stuff like that. All right? I hope this kind of helps. Oh, so the computer in this is in that box right there. I'm not going in there. I've been in there recently replacing that computer, and I'm not doing it again. But that is how you would trace down from a diagram to the actual vehicle. And I hope that helps clear some stuff up.